All right, let's get to this. Jordan Love reacting. Well, we got to actually set this up because we had a special edition radio show Wednesday with the Chris Middleton news, so we did not get to this Wednesday. But Josh Jacobs making his rounds on Radio Row Wednesday down in New Orleans and essentially say, hey, we need a real number one receiver. He doubled down on what he had to say yesterday, making some more rounds, saying, I just think we need a proven veteran, number one wide receiver in that room. I love our guys, right? I mean, that was essentially Jacobs' message, which was not taken too kindly to by guys like Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed. But Jordan Love now is in New Orleans the last 48 hours. And now he's getting asked about adding a number one wide receiver. Take a listen from Jordan Love, NFL Live on ESPN yesterday.
How do you see this young group, and are there advantages in not having a number one?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think we have different guys that can play and do different things better than other guys. And I think we have a wide or a deep receiver room. Obviously, like you mentioned, Tucker Kraft. But I think we got a lot of guys that can grow into that role. And I think we're still young. We're still building this thing, and guys are still proving themselves. So, Josh, he made those comments. And, I'm always right for my guys. I love the guys we have. I always say, if you add good players to an already good offense, I think, you can make it a better team.
So that Jordan Love on NFL Live can make it a better team. He went on to say something to the effect of, he was asked about Tee Higgins. Well, that would tell you, the sky's the limit if you add a really good player to a really good offense. Now, Jordan Love, I got to give him credit, man. He is much more media trained than Josh Jacobs has been this week. Like, you can tell, I don't want to say they're canned answers, but somebody prepped Jordan Love that he's going to be asked about this, and he had the same answer down no matter who asked it, no matter what show he was on, no matter who he was talking to. He had the answer of, if you add a good player to a good offense, it's going to get better. Well, yeah, that makes sense. So Jordan Love dodging the bullets a little bit better than maybe Josh Jacobs did. The point of the fact, though, is that this has some legs now, that every reporter from national to local to this show, to Kay Adams, to NFL Live, there is a real storyline that the Packers need to add a legitimate number one receiver. And while that was a thought towards the end of this past season when nobody really took that next step in that Packers receiver room, it feels very real now that Jordan Love is talking about it. Josh Jacobs is blatantly saying, hey, we need a number one receiver. So, believe it or not, by the way, and I saw Wendell Ferreira tweeted this. Believe it or not, Davante Adams is still under contract with the New York Jets. I feel like we lose sight of that occasionally.
Yeah, I think we can. They're not going to pay him $40 million.
No. Are they going to release him, or are you going to need to trade him? That was the question.
But also, you save $30 million and you try and trade me him for a third-round pick. I go, ha! Good luck, pal. Have fun.
It's fair.
He's as good as a free agent as possible.
He is. Now he's 31, right? And there are some. And look, I don't know that the Packers will go the Davante Adams, Tee Higgins route, to be real honest with you. But I wouldn't be shocked if they added, say, who's an unrestricted free agent, like a Josh Palmer from the Chargers.
Oof. Ooh.
But he's 24. He's available. He's cheap.
Josh Palmer could play football for the rest of his life, and he would never be able to have two combined seasons as good as Davante Adams' best.
Oh, I agree with you. But I am at a point where I don't know if Goody looks at that wide receiver room and says, hey, we really need a Davante Adams or a Tee Higgins. He should, and it would certainly help this team get to that next level, which is hopefully an NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. But I don't know if Goody's going, we absolutely need a guy like that. What if he goes, hey, let's add Tutu Atwell in free agency and let's draft a guy in the third round?
Tutu Atwell, goodness.
I'm just throwing out cheap young names.
These names are hurting my feelings.
Well, I hope you understand. The best receivers that will allegedly be available are the following. In order. Tee Higgins, Davante Adams, Cooper Kupp. Right? We know those three names will be available.
I would drop Cooper Kupp.
I mean, I don't want him, and I don't think he's a Packer, right?
No.
Like, he's just very anti what Goody does. He's expensive, he's old, and he's slow. Like, it's just not, it's not a
injury
Goody.
Prone too.
Yeah, injury prone. So it's not like he's not a Packer. But those are the three big names that essentially will be available, whether in form of a trade or free agency this offseason. After that, boy, does it drop off. Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper.
Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown's out there, which is actually kind of an intriguing name, but he's I think he'll probably be back in Kansas City.
Yeah.
But then after that, it gets to the names I was just mentioning. Chris Godwin's out there too. But then you got Tutu Atwell and Josh Palmer and like Deontay Johnson. This is not a sexy wide receiver market in 2024. So I would not be surprised if Brian Gutekunst takes a smaller swing on a guy like a Tutu Atwell or a Josh Palmer. And I know it hurts your feelings, Josh, but I legitimately think this is the route he could go.
I think they're better at talent evaluation than that.
But
I think they realize signing Josh Palmer to even $6 million a year is not as valuable as simply just drafting guys and hoping for better. That Tutu Atwell or Josh Palmer being an attempt at an answer to me would be like, we need to start questioning what you're seeing on film and what your scouting department's up to.
Okay, well, hold on a minute.
Tutu Atwell's a gadget player.
I agree. I don't know if he's a legitimate option.
He's Jaden Reed, but worse.
But worse, yes.
Josh Palmer was given the opportunity to be a number one guy.
Yeah, it's...
and never once even was a number 2 guy.
Yeah, he was a guy I always thought would take that next step for 3 years in a row.
He wishes he could have a year like Alan Lazard.
Whoa.
That's just the reality.
He wishes he could have a year like Alan Lazard is the first time anybody's ever said that sentence.
That's what we're talking about here. I think we, as a fan base, would have a reasonable reason to be pretty upset if there's not a serious swing taken. Now, hey, the Davante Adams sweepstakes could end up wherever.
Yep.
Somebody could lose their mind and say, we're going to pay you $25 million for 3 years, like over $75 million total dollars is what I'm getting at. And then it's like, well, then I probably would say that's not the best idea for the Packers to invest in. But Davante's made it damn clear he wants to win a Super Bowl, and he feels like that's the missing piece of his legacy.
And it is.
It is. The Packers are one of, what would you say, 8, 9, 10 teams that you would say right now you would consider serious Super Bowl contenders.
Next year?
Yeah.
I'm going to put both the teams in the Super Bowl back in that conversation for obvious reasons. Let's start in the AFC. Baltimore's legit.
Yeah.
Buffalo's legit.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, I'm not counting out at this point.
I will. Joe Burrow stinks.
Well, that's not true, and you know that.
Comeback player of the year. Comeback from what? Stinking? Having the same record as Jake Browning? Sweet, bro.
Hunter pumps back in the football music as he's just talking about Joe Burrow stinking. All right, so Cincinnati, Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City. That's probably it. Maybe the Chargers.
You have to. I mean, they have to be a part of the conversation just because it's Harbaugh.
Okay, we'll add them.
Justin Herbert.
Good with that.
Texans have to be a part. Their defense is legit. If C.J. Stroud can play,
okay.
C.J. Stroud plays better. They're up there.
So NFC, then Philadelphia, Washington.
Yep.
Green Bay, Detroit.
Yep.
So that's 10.
I think Vikings have to be included.
Okay, that's 11. I'm fine with that.
Who knows what happens with the 49ers?
Niners, I will always put in there.
Yeah.
So that's 12.
Until Kyle Shanahan's not calling plays for them and head coach, I'm gonna say there's something to be worried.
I would say that's probably the end of the list. I don't think I'm putting anybody in the South in there.
No.
So there you go. 12 teams have a legitimate shot to win a Super Bowl next year. So, and Davante Adams does not play for one of them right now.
Nope. It really narrows it down. And if you watched what we did all season long, those guys, I'm not as down as it seems as some people are on Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. Christian Watson's going to be hurt 12 weeks. Like, that's kind of what it is. Romeo Doubs, he's as good as out to me. I don't know what the plan is going to be for him, but I don't think Goody's or anybody's going to play lightly to I skipped work thing. And I think that's going to loom for any potential of him being with the Packers more than just next year because he's under contract and pretty cheap.
Yep.
But like they need to replace production. And in the moments when the Packers needed plays, they didn't have anybody who could do it from a pass catching sense. At times, Jaden Reed did it. At times, Dontavian Wicks did it. At times, Romeo Doubs did it. But none of them were reliable. It wasn't an impressive showing by anybody. Dontavian Wicks might end up being the best of all of them. And he turns it around and is a miracle. But you can't bank on that.
No.
You can't bank on Jaden Reed being able to suddenly start to beat man coverage.
No. But
the book's out on him.
Stop saying that.
The people know how to beat. It's on him to be able to play better.
And he will.
He's a great talent.
He is. And I think
Deebo
that's...
Samuel suffered from the same thing his whole career.
It's a good point.
He's still functional and very productive, but he needs special accommodations to be fully himself.
And the issue is Jaden Reed ain't Deebo Samuel yet.
No.
Deebo Samuel light for sure, but he's not all the way there.
So to go into this season and the urgency thing, the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, I mean, it's a glaring missing piece. Your running back went out, your best player last year went out and said, hey, we're missing this. Mm-hmm. Like, I have to imagine that's a conversation they're having in the building as well. I don't think Josh Jacobs is just self-diagnosing.
No. This now, clearly the reaction from guys like Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks that tweeted, and there were some deleted tweets in there as well.
Both of them deleted. Oh, no, Dontavian
I think Wicks kept his up. Yeah. But the reaction they had, clearly this is not a conversation that he's had with them, but I bet this is a conversation he's had with Jordan Love. I bet this is a conversation he's had with Matt LaFleur.
Yep.
I bet this is a conversation he's had with the other guys in the running back room with him, right? And that's why I think he was so comfortable saying it without realizing, my teammates might get a hold of this.
It seemed evident.
100%. And
we didn't get a chance to cover the real wide receiver thing at all, really, did we?
No, because Wednesday was all about Middleton. And that was the last time we had a show. So, no.
I mean, I thought,
it seemed like a Freudian slip a little bit.
I think it was just a little tactless. I don't begrudge anything him for saying it.
No, because I don't think he's wrong.
If you went on air and said you're not a real host or real producer and meant it, and were saying it like, only the biggest event in football, I'd be pretty upset, and I think most people would. I think the bravado of, no, he's talking the truth is all BS.
Yeah.
You don't talk about your teammates and your friends that way.
You don't talk about them that way.
That's just how it goes. He's right. He's absolutely right.
He is right that they could use a veteran presence.
Yes.
And that's kind of how he backtracked. He didn't really backtrack. He doubled down, but he did it much nicer yesterday by saying, I love the guys in that room, but we need a veteran presence. Okay. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we will see.
I also thought Jordan Love's comments were, definitely more diplomatic.
Yes.
If I were him, I'd probably avoid all of that. And I know Josh Jacobs gives him cover, but I just say I need to play better. I need to put them in better positions. I need to give them more catchable balls.
Fully agree.
And say, I'm going to let the GM do what the GM's going to do. I think me and my guys can go out there and win at the highest level.
Bingo.
That's probably the way I do it.
JOSHY and JOSHY. Need to get you two in a room for some media training.